Hey, folks, I'm adjusting my camera as the show starts. That's very professional of me since I am not in my normal studio today. Hey, Andrew Wilson and I are here with you guys as always every Friday, or almost every Friday we can manage it, with Behind the Numbers. And man, Andrew, you and I have been talking about this for weeks now, that Trump's numbers, the people who buy into the Trump is impervious, that nothing touches Trump. It's wrong. His numbers
That
have
I think the
crashed.
whole concept is shattered.
Yeah, his numbers have crashed even worse than they've been. Look, folks, they were going down because of the economy, because of Epstein, because of his insanity. But now he is in a zone where he's below where Joe Biden was in his worst times. I mean, let's get to it, Andrew. Let's get to it.
So this is the Fox poll that came out on Tuesday. It was run
Right.
the 6th to the 9th of September. And basically it shows that 52% of respondents in this poll said that Trump is making the economy worse. And that is
Folks,
only 30% saying
to tell
better.
you what that number means, that's insanity.
There has to be a huge subset of Republicans who are saying in this, we haven't dug all the way through the crosstabs,
Right.
but there has to be at least a significant portion of Republicans who are saying that Trump is making the economy worse. And it spells doom for him, for all these Republican candidates. I mean, we got polling out of Virginia this week. We should have added that, but it had Spanberger up 12 on Winsome Sears.
Man, what a loss for Chris LaCivita. They really thought he was going to shoot to
terrible.
the job.
This is going to drag down Republican candidates all across the board.
Yeah.
This is his net approval on handling the economy.
Folks, again, I know everybody gets very depressed about Trump's authoritarianism and his extremism, but this is a failed presidency. This chart is showing
utterly failed.
A failed presidency. You don't come back from that.
So the top line here, the slightly pinker line, is his first term economic approval, and then the darker red line is his current economic approval, and it's at minus 22. I don't even know how to frame it. I mean, I thought there was a floor to this number. I really did, but we're in the basement.
Yeah, you did say a few weeks ago when we were talking about he was upside down on inflation like 13 points, and you were like, it's pretty close to the bottom. I don't think there's a bottom.
I don't know. It's just, I mean, if you look at also like the recent numbers, and this probably has a lot to do with what's happening with jobs,
right?
Specifically, it is tanking more than I can't even fathom. It's hard to understand that number.
Right.
So 242 days in, he's down 17 net. He's at 39% approval. Again, Joe Biden numbers. Jimmy Carter numbers. When you're in the 30s, your presidency is imploding.
Yeah. I mean, he's got basic as the old joke, the old Trent Lott joke, that when you're down that low, it's basically immediate family members being polled. That is a number. And again, like you just mentioned, Andrew, this is going to have an impact on these Republican candidates for House and Senate, because you know what they don't get to do? They don't get to blow up a bullshit distraction every 5 minutes and say, look over here, look over there. They're going to have to go answer for people saying, hey, why can't I get a job? Hey, why is my health insurance 3 times more expensive? Why are my groceries going up? I mean, this is one thing I've been telling people. I told a group of Democrats this the other day. Trump can spend almost everything, but he can't spend that receipt at Amazon or Target.
No, I was talking about this the other day, or just a minute ago to you.
Yeah.
My wife and I have a cat. We buy her litter box. We switch it out every once in a while.
Yeah.
A couple years ago when we bought one, $16.
Right.
Today when we bought one, $25.
Right. Same cat box, same model, same. Yeah.
The price of everything is spiking enormously, and we can see we have some approval numbers on inflation later on.
Right.
So this is a little harder to read. I would say the dark blue line is Biden's term, his approval. You can see in the current week, Biden was at -3. The pink line again is Trump's first term, and the dark red line is the current term. He's at -18 for his net approval among adults. I don't see it coming back. I can't imagine him, recovering this number. I think it's only going to get worse.
Right.
Like I said, I thought there was a floor. It doesn't appear to be a floor.
Let's talk through this for a second, because there was always a belief way back to 2015. We saw it in polling, we saw it in focus groups, that Trump was this economic genius, this mastermind, a negotiator, entrepreneur, a businessman. We need a businessman. I heard it a million times in focus groups.
Mm-hmm.
This looks like that spell has finally collided with reality and been broken. So my question to you is, and we're not, folks, neither of us are economists, but we play them on TV. A quarter point cut from the Fed, and now the Fed will not be doing anything. I think that was all they were going to give Trump. Unless the economy goes absolutely belly up, they're not going to cut a point or a half a point in the next round, which is the only, I think a point would juice the economy, but I don't think a half a point is going to juice the economy.
I don't think they're willing to risk it. Right,
with the inflationary pressure already.
Right. He's currently furious with the Fed, of course.
Of course.
But it's just, I don't think it's going to work. So I saw some comments, and we can talk about this related to this particular graph here. A couple things I want to point out. First of all, look at the Republicans. It's 88% approval, 10% disapproval. Now, I know people think, I see one comment talking about, it's a cult, he'll never pull off any of these people. Yeah, that might be bad approval from Republicans, 10%. It might be 10% disapproval, but Republicans are going to be extremely undermotivated to vote. They're not going to feel like this is and especially since Trump's not on the ballot. I think Republicans are going to turn out. I think we'll see a shrinkage in Republican turnout in this next election because of everything that's happening.
And he's not on the ballot. We've always talked about.
He's not on the ballot.
When Trump is on the ballot, Republicans come out. When he's not on the ballot, they're like, maybe I'll come out.
Right. And I think, here we go. The minus 34 on inflation and prices in terms of approval.
Oh my God.
Just
guys, again, a couple of weeks ago, Andrew and I were like, yeah, that's the floor. It can't get worse than that. That's historically bad. Oh no. Oh, but it can get worse than that.
People must be seeing, obvious significant increases in prices on everyday items.
They are.
And it's probably across the whole economy, not just in the grocery store, but everywhere else you're shopping.
Right.
And minus 34 on inflation and prices is, I think, maybe worse than Joe Biden's worst number on inflation and prices.
I think it might be. I have to go back and look, but I think if not, it's incredibly close to his worst number.
He was hovering in the low 30s, I thought, for disapproval on this.
The other thing, and we don't have a chart of it, but I was just looking it up, that the new AP NORC poll, we've got 51% of Republicans say the country's on the wrong track. Now, 90% of Democrats and independents say that, but if Republicans now, a majority of Republicans are saying the country's on the wrong track, we are setting up all the predicates for a change election.
Yes, absolutely. 2018, 2012. I mean, it's just
2010. I mean, it goes on and on and on.
On and on.
But 34% on inflation and prices. If you're Tony Fabrizio, Trump's pollster, you got to be waking up in the morning and going, please God, end the fucking trade war, dude.
And he won't. He won't end the trade war. And I think
he's way too dug in now.
I think his senility has also affected his ability to make decisions. And here we go.
But he's so angry about Fox having that poll that we talked about in the beginning. You know that is driving him up the wall.
And he's furious about the Fox poll.
Do we have a clip of that? I think we have a clip of that. Let's play
I think we do.
Yeah, let's play that clip.
Polling that doesn't poll well in the economy. The recent Fox polling said 52% say the economy is worse under this administration. You've got unemployment at the highest rate in 4 years. Groceries made a big jump in the last term. So how is that? you're looking forward with these plans that you just talked about. When will people feel that, Mr.
Well,
Trump?
when the factories
President Trump?
start opening. I mean, right now we're building them. And, Fox polling, I have to tell you, I've told you before, it's the worst polling I've ever had. It's always, during the election, they had me winning by a little bit, not by a massive amount. And Fox polling, I've told Rupert Murdoch, go get yourself a new pollster because he stinks. And this is for years now.
He's clearly extremely bitter about these polls, scared what they mean. We know Trump pays attention to polling.
Obsessively.
He cares about what people think of him. And we've talked about this before. The Fox poll is actually a high quality poll.
Ironically, it is actually, they do a actually legitimate poll.
They do a great job. And he hates it because, they're sticking it to him. And I don't think that any kind of influence he puts on, he's pressuring all these media companies to stop saying bad things about him. He'll never escape the economy. You can't force the economy to change with, standard authoritarian tactics. It just doesn't work.
No, the economy still has rules of its own that are not amenable to daddy saying thou shalt improve. So I think one thing a lot of people have been asking me about, and we don't have a ton of numbers on this yet, but the Charlie Kirk story, as you and I talked about last time, would inevitably fade, would inevitably leave the wider public consciousness and become a sort of bespoke internal Republican issue. Is part of that just because the economy and Epstein are such unspeakably big issues now for Trump? Is it?
I think so.
Yeah.
He can't outrun Epstein, no matter what he does. He's never going to dodge it, and it keeps coming back over and over again. We'll be talking about Epstein for his whole term, I think.
Oh yeah.
And I think the thing about the Kirk story is that they sullied it with their own, intentions, their own. They used it as a hammer against liberals and leftists or whatever. I think they ruined it for themselves. They didn't. I don't think Trump gives a damn about Charlie Kirk, to be honest with you. I saw this New York Times article.
Yeah.
The next day that said, Charlie Kirk was like one of the family, and they're doing a memorial. The poster for the memorial doesn't even have Charlie Kirk's face on it.
Right.
It has Donald Trump's face on it.
It's become another Trump show, and the irony of all of it was always going to be this: Trump's ego, no matter what the political utility his advisors were telling him and are telling him that Kirk's death had, and they are telling him over and over again it has enormous political utility. We can talk about that in a minute. I want to get to that in a second.
Sure.
But at the end of the day, America has a short attention span.
Very.
What it doesn't have a short attention span on is that you go into Target or Walmart or the grocery store, or you go on Amazon and you want to order something, and you can't spin that inflation is low. You can't spin that people are getting jobs. You can't spin that the economy is prospering. It's all a lie. And
so Carol said just now, he is ruining the economy. I think it's important to sort of dissect that. It is Trump himself who has stepped on the economy. If you just let it go, we would still be up and up and up and up. He did it himself.
I mean, the idea that Joe Biden's economy was somehow this absolute horror show was always spin.
Sure.
And look, it was imperfect and it had a lot of areas that could have used improvement, but it wasn't Somalia in 1991.
We had a very bad inflationary cycle that people were feeling, in their pocketbook.
Right.
So this chart is Trump's leadership qualities have declined since his second term began in January. So people are seeing him as less honest and trustworthy, which why anyone thought he was remotely honest or trustworthy to begin with is a shock to me. But
a damn mystery.
He's now at -27, and there's a faded red line at the top here. I don't know if you can see it, but it's is Trump a strong leader? So at his inauguration, he was up at 25 plus 25 on is Trump a strong leader? He's now at +1. People, the image of Trump as the invincible Teflon Don is
Right.
fading very quickly. I think it has to do with his age. I think it has to do with him fucking up the economy. I think it has to do with Epstein. I think we will end Trump's term with the view of history that will stick to him permanently, which is a failed presidency in every way.
Right. And I think one of the things that in the beginning of my career, in the late 80s in politics, mid-late 80s, the knock-on effect of Jimmy Carter's one term, and set aside that Jimmy Carter was a fine person as a man, he had a disastrous presidency.
Terribly
He was
bad.
an economic pincer, the Iran collapse, the perception that America was off the rails. It was in all the polling. And that perception that he was a president who was going to come in, clean things up after Watergate, was a very powerful brand in the beginning. But once Carter lost decisively on the economy, it made the losses on foreign policy, lost confidence.
Sting even worse.
Right.
Yep.
And then it stayed in the sort of public consciousness and the branding of the Democratic Party for 15 years. Because you have 2 terms of Reagan, 1 term of my old boss, and even Bill Clinton was a response in the Democratic Party to Jimmy Carter at the time.
Right.
And so there's a possibility here that in this very consequential and dangerous fight against authoritarianism, because folks, don't mistake that he can be weak and also be dangerous.
Yes, absolutely. I think he's more dangerous the weaker he feels that he is.
Yes.
You know, because these polling numbers are so bad, and this is not just the only thing. You know, there are a lot of other factors out there that are making Trump feel like he is fighting in the desperate corner like a dog.
Yeah, like a dog,
as he would say. I think the more he feels desperate, the more dangerous he will get. He will continue to lash out at anyone near him or
yeah,
you know, anyone he feels like is remotely criticizing him.
Well,
so
and
it gets worse.
Right. And so if the economy, as we can see from all these numbers, hurts him, and Epstein hurts him, as I pointed out the other day, there's one thing we know about the man is despite all his transgressions, outrages, despite all of his abuses of power and attacks on the Constitution of the country, Donald Trump is a sniveling, whiny bitch who's in the Epstein files.
You know, he's so thin-skinned, it's unbelievable. I mean, he can't handle a little light mockery. He has to say they have to cancel the late night shows. You know, and this all goes back to the White House Correspondents' Dinner. He's such a fucking bitch. I mean, it's unbelievable.
That Barack Obama triggered him so badly that he's still playing out that psychodrama. I'm sorry, Donald, that mommy didn't love you and never hugged you. But you know, here we are. So, I mean, we saw a lot of these people that have perceived Trump from the beginning as the strong, powerful leader. They're now starting to watch the horizon. It's why the sudden uptick in J.D. Vance appearances on the Fox News program, Donald.
Joseph Stalin.
Right, it is. It's folks, if you haven't watched Death of Stalin, it's a hilarious family comedy. Yeah, Donald Trump's that number, that red line is that's a tell.
You know, this is so. I think I was reading the other day about the Shah of Iran and his cancer.
Oh, yeah. As one does.
And you know, the authoritarian, the mindset when your leader is having failing health is to hide it.
Right.
They're going to hide his decline as much as they can, and you know, in many ways, Joe Biden's decline was sort of hidden from a lot of people.
Sure.
Although it was somewhat evident to most people. They will hide this until the crisis point. They will hide it until Trump's health is completely failed. And, you know, the presidency wears on the president.
Believe me.
Something I think the earliest pattern in politics that I could spot was the white hair on Obama's head by the end of his second term.
Yeah.
He was young.
George W. Bush. I remember being on the campaign trail in 2000 with him, and it was this young guy. He looked like he was 40, and when he left the White House 8 years later, he looked like he was 70.
And despite being the most indolent and lazy president we've ever had, it will wear on Trump, especially because any kind of critique makes him unhappy and slowly wears at his fragile brain.
Yes.
He will continue to age, and they will hide it to the last moment. But people will start to notice over time more and more that Trump is declining and falling apart. He's going to sort of wither, like blow away in the wind at some point.
Yeah. And I still believe, and this is a topic for another day, I still believe there's no substitute in the emotional chemistry for Republicans for Trump. J.D. Vance is like, he's committing to the bit. He's playing the gig. But I don't think there is the same level of like weird emotional alchemy that Trump has always had with the Republican base. It's so sui generis.
I don't think Vance will ever catch fire with MAGA like Trump did. One, because I see Vance and he just seems disingenuous. And not that Trump is an honest guy, but there was a perception that he was a truth teller. Now, Vance does not have that same quality.
Point out, anybody who's changed their name 4 times, can you really trust them?
Can you? He also doesn't have the support of the MAGA influencer structure that Trump has. There are some who say Vance is their guy, but there are many others who are.
Oh, there are a lot of them waiting for Don Jr.
Vance.
or waiting for, somebody else in the field who they, and I will tell you, I had a case made to me this morning by a really smart person who said, watch, Erica Kirk is going to run for U.S. Senate.
Oh, Christ.
Completely goodbye.
I could buy that, yeah. I mean,
ambition is a powerful drug, folks, in politics. And once you reach a point where the old king cannot yield the sword, things change, and they can change.
Things change. And, we talked about this. Trump is Lenin. J.D. Vance could be Stalin. We just have to stop that from happening.
Yeah.
That would be the worst possible outcome.
And Vance has a lot of infrastructure with Peter Thiel and Elon and the Silicon Valley bros, but he again, folks, this is again a guy who is committing to the bit. He's playing the role, but everybody who knows him, and I know him, this ain't that guy. He's role playing. It's the fake orgasm.
Oh, he's a chameleon. He's a chameleon. He'll be whatever he thinks is going to get him over the line.
100%. Well, folks, what else we got, Andrew? You got anything else? And folks, just again, Andrew's not like given to a lot of exaggeration when he's like, "Holy shit, you can't believe these effing numbers." Pay attention, because
I think the thing that blows me away the most is that we're not even a year in. Joe Biden's numbers were
such a good point.
Steady-ish in the first 2 years, and then they tanked in the second 2.
Right.
We are very early on to be where we are in Trump's numbers, and I think it is worth watching how he fares going forward.
Yep.
I can't express, I really thought there was a floor. It's disappeared. It's vanished. And that tells me that people who voted for him in 2024 now realize, wow, what a big mistake. He's actually a fool and doesn't know what he's doing, and he's been lying to us this whole time. And you can see that in the perception of his honesty, down 27 points or something. And people don't like to be lied to.
By the way, when you think about that, if his perception of being an honest, I guess it's what's honest and truthful, or whatever the phrase they use in the polling is, if it's 27%, folks, by inference, that means that roughly 45% of Republicans do not believe he's honest and truthful. Anyway, all right, everybody. Well, listen, folks, we're in a dark place as a country. But the economy and Epstein are still the kryptonite of Donald Trump. They are still riding on him and still causing his behavior to be insane. And that is hurting him further. We're in a doom loop with Donald right now. And at the Lincoln Project, we're trying to push that doom loop forward. So Andrew and I will see you guys next Friday. And y'all have a good weekend. Go love on your families and take a break from all this. I really recommend pull out of the social media for a day or two.
Yes,
it will reset your brain in a very affirmative and positive way. All right, folks. And by the way, speaking of resetting brains, we're going to roll out today from the show on a little piece of video we greeted Donald Trump when he returned to Washington last night. See ya.
Oh, it's an old trick. The president in trouble at home goes abroad to change the subject. Nice try, Donald. It's not working. You can't hide from the Epstein files. England fired their US ambassador over his Epstein connections. Was that a hoax? Donald, you'd love to fire people. Ann Bondi said she'd release the Epstein files. So did Kash Patel. So did Dan Bongino. But where are the Epstein files? Why don't you fire them, Donald? Is it that they know too much? Are you afraid they'll talk? Is that why Jeffrey Epstein's child sex trafficker girlfriend was moved to a club fed with yoga classes? Who's trying to keep her quiet, Donald? Ask anybody. Ask the King of England. Everybody wants the Epstein files released. Except you, Donald. Now, why is that?